when I was about 10, I saw him on stage and I was like, Mom, I'm gonna marry him someday.
So I had no idea that she had been coming for so many years to the theater. It was that matinee started the show, and in the very first scene, she was sitting on the front row of one of the side sections. And from the very first scene, I noticed her, and I thought, wow, she's really beautiful. So I mentioned it to my mom, who was around the theater as well. And she said, oh my gosh, I noticed her too. You're gonna marry her. I decided that she had to be sitting in the seat that I first saw her in to propose. So I brought her up and I sat her in the seat, and we just talked about our hopes and dreams and knelt down and popped a question.
When he asked me to marry him, it was like, no question, you know, everything was so comfortable and I was so excited. But I remember we had conversations about, we were also surprised about like how normal it felt, you know? We're just like, of course we're engaged, of course we're getting married.
So the morning of our wedding, I was really nervous. I knew I was doing the right thing. I knew that Miriam was the absolute perfect person for me, but I was still really nervous. And I think I was pretty nervous up until the actual ceremony. And then sitting in the ceremony, it just felt right, and our friends and family were there, and I just knew that we were doing the right thing, and we'd figure everything out along the way. So I started having symptoms when I was about 14 years old, and it kind of started as just being really sleepy all the time, and my muscles would get sore really quickly, and I didn't really think a lot of it. But probably after I met Miriam, Miriam and my parents kind of decided that we needed to figure it out. And so we went and got the tests done, had some genetic testing done, and got the diagnosis. And
I was so scared about what they might say. But then it was really amazing because when they told us what his diagnosis was, they said, you know, it's called Pompe disease. It's a really, really rare form of muscular dystrophy. And you guys are really, really lucky because it's the only type of muscular dystrophy right now with any sort of a treatment. It's not a cure. It's a progressive disease, so it's going to get worse, but this treatment will hopefully, you know, slow the progression.
Some days I wake up and I'm just ticked off, and most days I wake up and I'm just ticked off. I compare our lives to people who are you know, physically healthy. I think if only I was physically healthy, you know, all these things I could have accomplished by now.
And I remember early on in his diagnosis, realizing that we weren't going to be able to like quantify the happiness and the success of our marriage the way it seemed that others were. We just know that we take things a day at a time, and that we don't have to be doing anything extraordinary to be happy. That just being together, you know, it's all we need. I think that somebody waking up every day and choosing you despite anything in the world is like the most romantic thing I can even think of. So it's awesome. Yeah.